Conflict is everywhere in today's society, and certainly it's prevalent in today's organizations. It seems that every organization experiences conflict, whether it's between managers and employees, co-workers, or employees and customers or clients. In working with conflict over the last several years, I've learned that there's some common myths out there about conflict. The first myth is that it's simply the cost of doing business, and that there's absolutely nothing that organizational management can do to prevent or certainly resolve conflict. There seems to be a belief that as long as you have employees, you're going to have conflict. And while that's true to some extent, I've certainly learned that there are some effective strategies in preventing conflict, but also resolving it when it does happen. In other words, it's not inevitable that we just have to put up with it. The other myth is that there's no return on investment in conflict prevention. Some believe that we can't learn how to resolve conflict, which is certainly a myth. And as we'll see in future editions, there actually is a return on investment in conflict prevention and teaching employees and managers how to mediate and resolve that conflict. Workplace conflict is not a cost of doing business. In other words, unresolved conflict accounts for about 2/3 of voluntary turnover in organizations. So if you think about turnover costs about 1.5 times the percentage of an employee's salary. In other words, if they're making $20,000, they leave us, that actually costs us $30,000 because we're having to recruit, hire, do background checks, interview, take the time to train the employee, be patient while the employee learns new skills. Maybe there's going to be overtime from coworkers who are filling in while the job is open or while the employee is learning new skills. So if you think about 2/3 of that cost of turnover is due to unresolved workplace conflict. Many of you can probably think about situations in which you were in a workplace with a lot of conflict and how unpleasant and demoralizing it was to get up in the morning knowing you were going to go into a workplace that was full of conflict. That gets to everybody at some point. There becomes a breaking point and people say, well, I'm just going to leave. That makes conflict very costly to our organizations. On the next edition, we'll explore more about the costs of conflict. I hope you watch the next edition because I think you'll be surprised at how much conflict really does cost our organizations.